Okay, so I'm creating this video for my two brothers, but maybe it will apply to your life as well. So I just went over this with a friend, brought him in. I'm running a new fitness model with something on the back end of it. About a 2.5 hour process. I've also pitched it to some businesses. I have one business that's going to bring me in for a 90-minute session. Oh God, with $300 for a 90-minute session. So the idea here is billing under the assumption of improving mental health, but it is also a fitness regimen. And more than mental health, I really struggle with that whole thing. God bless. We'll call it more character development, your philosophy of life. That's much more important because your mental health typically, as humans, we correlate that to emotions, and emotions come and go, just like the changing of seasons, just like a mountain turns into a valley. You cannot hold on to a specific emotion for too long. You will have fun with that. So, what we start with. Typically the conversation, constantly, what we always find ourselves in, my brothers have come to me and they're like, Dill, I gotta make more money. They didn't necessarily ask me to help them make more money, but God bless it, your boy likes to preach and teach. It's the Jesus inside of me. Anyways, so I think the most important thing to start with is context. The context molds every conversation. Every conversation is the basis for any building blocks in the world in capitalism. You can't really do anything without having a conversation first. Communication is the number one skill set. It is king. But the context. So earlier, this isn't directly correlated to making more money. This is not something that you can apply tomorrow to make more money. Probably, but more so this is a reframing, a rebuilding of the person, the individual. And what we do is we start with context. And context is going to transform into the most important thing there is. So, what I think your foundation needs to be, right? Your foundation, if we're saying this is a person, you have to start with faith. I do not care if you believe in any religion, if you believe in a God, if you believe that we were brought into this earth by dolphins that decided to walk on land. I don't care if apes ate mushrooms and your God is a psychedelic trip. You have to believe in something bigger than you. If you made this, come talk to me. Help me out. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. Right? If you made this world, God bless you. That's pretty dope. You should be more vocal about it. Probably get some criticism. But what I choose to do, I like to say I'm a follower of my old boy Jesus. Right? It's a good dude. It's a good dude. But also, more importantly, I believe in God. I believe I did not make this, and I believe there is a creator. Right? So faith is your foundation. It shrinks you down. So then when you do all this and you build yourself up, your ego doesn't get out of check because you realize you ain't shit. You're just a drop in the ocean. Have fun building. Yeah, that's not motivational. Get over it. It's honest. Have fun with your affirmations. Oh, he's mean. I'm actually really nice. Very kind. Then the most important thing, what is going to start your journey? What drives your day? Who are you? Ladies and gentlemen, it's your philosophy. Can you read that from there? I hope so. It's your philosophy. What do you say? What is your narrative for life? I'm trying to get better and figure out, my motherfucking college. I'm trying to figure out how to do this talk. Like, how do you dig into someone and find out what their philosophy is? How do you do that? What I've been noticing and what I tend to ask people, and I'm trying to perfect it, so if you have any If you stumble on this in the comments, help me build this. I'm learning life along the way. It's been quite a way. And I'm a student, not a follower of philosophy. That is one of my philosophies. And so I'm always willing to listen because I always want to learn. So, philosophy, what I would say is, go back to your upbringing, right? This isn't a therapy session. Don't give me your earliest memory. What I want you to do is go back to your childhood memories in your home, in your wherever, however you grew up. The influential people in your life, right? Who was most prevalent in building your inner voice? Who were you hearing talk the most? Who were you getting impressions from? Personally, probably my mom and my dad. The narratives that I heard in my house growing up, and my two brothers can probably mimic this. Let's see. So my dad, God bless him, proud of him. His upbringing, he didn't really have a father figure, so God bless it. Not one at home at least. And so my dad did the best I believe he knew, right? You can always do better, Papa. You can always do fucking better. Get your head out of your ass. So what he tended to say a lot was, it isn't fair. He would say things like, of course it happened to me. And the context there was negative, 100% negative. Like, someone else at work gets a raise, he doesn't. Of course I'm not getting a raise. Of course that's me. It isn't fair. It isn't fair. Another thing you'd say is, hope you can see it. So these are narratives. These are things I always heard my dad saying. There was a couple good ones from my mom. Like, she was just very joyous and very loving. She didn't really speak much, right? I didn't really take narratives from her that I can remember that were sayings or speech, things she would say much. She just laughed and she lived, and she was very joyous and positive and kind and loving. So I kind of took from action. And what I've always tended to do is act and not really speak. But now, the cup's runneth over, so here's the speech. And I've realized I really like to preach, so give it now. So what I would find him saying a lot, what I realized when I look back is he would constantly, the world sucks. Fuck this world, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. I don't get paid enough. I don't make enough money for this shit. Of course it happened to me. Always in a negative context. Right? You go to fucking McDonald's and you get a Big Mac with a large fry. They forget the fry. Of course it happened to me. Luxurious problems. Your generation's the problem. Just complete dog shit, negative, fuck shit attitude. Excuse my language. Come on now, YouTube. So, if this is your philosophy, if this is the thing that you're bringing into the world to take on the world, yikes. What do you think a person this is the self-talk, what do you think that person's day is going to look like? Right? Someone cuts them off in traffic. The world sucks. Displacing blame. Someone else is the problem. You get rear-ended at a red light. It isn't fair. Of course it happened to me. Dude, you got rear-ended. You're gonna let that ruin your entire day, probably week. All of a sudden your blood pressure's a little higher and you die 20 years earlier. This is going to massively dictate the quality of your life. It is much better to live 40 years of adventure and excitement and joy than to live 100 years dissatisfied, resentful, in the corner, safe, on a salary job. It's another talk for another time. Anyways, what I realized at a young age. So, I went a route where when I was overweight in high school, I got up to 300 pounds, decided to drop out of high school, got my GED, wanted to focus on my health. I was privileged enough to someone somewhere nudged me into thinking I could be something, right? I jumped on YouTube and I found motivational talks and I was like, whoa, these people are saying things in direct conflict to everything my dad said, but they look happier. They're more successful almost in every way, right? My dad, I don't mean to hawk down on my dad, but I come from a family where my dad made not a ton of money, not too little money, $70,000, $80,000 at the most. Had food on the table, lower middle-ish class, but lived kind of normal. Had stuff, but didn't have stuff. Like, it wasn't privileged. It wasn't poor from a deficit. It was kind of just, it was there. Home life was just like, you didn't even want to be home because there was a fight waiting in every hour, right? Wasn't really any community inside of our home. Even I was shitty to my brothers because I didn't know how to fucking be a friend, a brother, or a leader because I didn't really have the best role model. My dad didn't either. Not to point fingers, it's just what I came from. And it was always negative. It was always victim mode. It was always, it's someone else's fault, not taking ownership and taking the reins. It seemed like a shitty life that I didn't really want. But when I watched these dudes on YouTube, what a privileged time I was born. They seemed happy. They were successful. They had money. I really liked the idea of fame at that time. Now, I don't know yet. Probably not. But they had things I wanted, and they were the type of people that I would have liked to have been like. So, I listened. And the things that they started to talk about was like the 10,000 hour rule, right? If you spend 10,000 plus hours in a specific discipline, you are bound to be an expert in the field. Because in all honesty, what they say is if you spend an hour a day for a year practicing or learning something, you're better or more skilled, more knowledgeable than 95% of the world in that specific topic. So imagine spending 10,000 hours versus 365 and being in the top 95%. 10,000 hours catapults you based off of many outliers, studies, and research of the greats. Most people that were exceptional, most people that were even considered prodigies had accumulated roughly 10,000 plus hours of practice in that given field. So I was like, that's pretty neat. So what that did is that completely remapped my philosophy. I started to say, this is probably pretty painful to watch on YouTube, but I hope it helps. I changed my entire narrative to being a victim, to placing blame, to worrying about, well, that's more than that, to worrying about what I couldn't do, to saying, oh, the 10,000 hour rule is real. I'm just going to commit myself to say that that's real because everyone that I'm watching right now that's successful says that that's a thing. I've never even heard of that. And you know what? Now, come to think of it, when I practice grounders an hour a day for 2 weeks in a row, I'm a lot better. And I used to have this ball, this little like reaction ball. I'd have my friends come over and we'd launch it against the side of the cement. And I started to get good at picking the ball. And I was like, you know what? And I trampled the yard. And I was like, you know what? And I've been working out. And when I spend more time working out, I get better at this, or I start to lose weight there, or this and that. So I'm like, you know what? My new narrative is this. If someone else can do it, I can do it. It's not yet. And it turned into a not if, but when type of a life for me. And this was such a deeply rooted, it was a seed that just turned into this oak tree. So much so that here in 400 years later, the gym that I used to coach at and be a part of and run, now has the word believe on the wall. Because in 2020, during COVID, when we didn't know if we were going to make it, I just remember texting one of my soulmates who owns the gym, Rob. I texted him the word believe with a period. And we made it. And we did even better than before COVID. We did even better post-COVID. And so it was just like, how did that get there? $10,000 rule, motherfucker. So then we come over here, and what I also realized people were saying is, you know, it seems like a lot of this stuff that's negative, it's not really, you know, giving the fruit my dad would like to chomp on. That's not working for us. The hills are really right now. I believe that one out. So what I changed my mindset from focusing on was from victimhood from victim to responsibility, right? Instead of focusing on everything outside of my control and just being a victim of my circumstances, I decided that it was all my responsibility. It was not my things that happened, the things that happened to me, the circumstances, the things I found myself in, my knee getting torn, my knee not being able to bend. It wasn't the fact that I was 300 pounds. It wasn't the fact that my entire family wanted steak and cheese and pizzas with fries on Friday night. It wasn't the fact that my wife left. It wasn't the fact that my mom died. It wasn't the fact that I've been homeless and carless and jobless and never hopeless, but seemingly down and out. Those things don't matter because you can't always control them. You don't always have reins on the outside world. Very rarely do you. So I took responsibility. And I changed. It isn't fair. Of course it happened to me. Of course. I heard someone say, people get into sales and they're like, it didn't work for me. You lied. My boy said, well, that's right. It's designed not to work for people like you. So what happened? Oh, I put that up too quick. What did I change that narrative to? I changed that narrative to this. And I stole this from Jim Rohn. instead of playing victim and focusing on everything outside of my control, I took ownership. And I started to think, changed my narrative, changed my entire philosophy of life. My man Jim Rohn, greatest mentor I've ever had, and I never met the man. The same wind blows on us all. It's not the wind that blows, it's the set of the sail. Don't wish for a different wind. Wish for the wisdom to set a better sail. Don't wish it was easier. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And I was like, skills, what the hell is that? So, what I started to do is I took all of these things and I was like, well, let's think about this one, Dill. Let's think. If we got a person, what do we got? We got like 7? 7 seems like a good number. We got 7 cups, right? You ever heard the saying, my cup runneth over, right? Many people nowadays are like, think about this. When the plane's going down, you don't want to put the oxygen on someone else. You need to put the oxygen on yourself so that you can put the oxygen on someone else. If you're dead, God bless it. So is everyone else if you were the Savior. Sorry about it. So, I call them cups because once your cup is filled, your cup runneth over. God bless it. You can change the world. But, basically, you have these 7 cups. You got your body, the physical body. You have the emotional state. I don't like that one, but it's a part of us, I suppose, and I don't like it for a different reason than you would think. We have the intellectual. Oh my God, we're going to call it conscience because I can't spell intellectual. Oh my God, I can't spell conscience right now. We're going intellectual. Long day. Then we have my favorite, the spiritual. Little butthole to the sun on a Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? Occupational. Oh, then we have connection. I just had a lot of connections, so I guess I don't really want it anymore right now. So, and then we have skills. So, what did I do to become better? I started to pour into these cups. So personally, I dropped out of high school. I got my GED, and then what did I do? I started to study every morning. I started to pray. It's like, you know what? People are talking about this Jesus fellow. I decided to pick him as a role model. Seems like a good one. See where it takes me. So I picked up a Bible. Life improved. I started to pray. Life improved. The more life improved, I started to say, you know what? I think it's this praying thing. So I started to do that. Slowly, but surely. Life improved. Spirituality was filling. Then I would start to watch anything that had to do with fitness, nutrition, health and wellness, or something closely related to improving the physical body. My intellect started to shoot up a little bit. Then I was like, you know what? I don't really think I should be a leader because I'm terrified of the public scene. I'm insecure. I don't think I speak well, this and that. But this achy breaky heart of mine is just a good one. I really love people and I really want to impact. Shit, I should probably try to become a good leader, maybe even inspire. So I started to watch motivational speakers. I watched Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. I listened to Martin Luther King Jr. speeches almost every night. JFK. I was just like, any religious leader ever. I was like, who got people to move and follow? Because if someone can get someone else, a human being, to follow them, that's pretty influential. And there was probably some great inspiration there, some great communication there. There was things that I want to possess if I want to be qualified enough to maybe step out and be a potential leader one day if my heart continues to go in the way that I believe it is, right? So I'm studying these people, I'm gaining these skills, I'm gaining the spirituality with my morning routine, and then I'm fitnessing hardcore. I went from 260 pounds to like 215 pounds in like 2 or 3 months. I was just pounding it. Started to go to school, started to pick up more books about more like a little bit of psychology, a little bit of actual like physiology and anatomy, and I'm just trying to learn things. Meanwhile, my emotional state's a little wild. Now, I've always questioned if I was supposed to be a woman at birth. Maybe I had both things and they decided to sew one of them up. I don't know how it works. I'm very emotional. I'm a rascal of a man, and I really connect with women because of it. But I'm also a man, so God bless it. Anyways, I'm very emotional. It's gotten a lot better. My neuroticism has dropped on a scale of 100 from a 78 to a 9. It doesn't mean I don't love. I still love very much. My volatility and withdrawal, pretty leveled out now. Thankful. But my emotional state, I can tap into that and I can be very vulnerable with how I'm feeling. Now, emotional states are very, very touchy with me. Many people nowadays are shooting for happiness. They want to be happy. You ask someone, what do you want in life? Well, I want to be successful. I want to be happy. And I hate to mock, but I get frustrated. And that was a very frustrated thing. I apologize for that. Happiness is an emotion. And I don't remember if I said it in this video or if I said it a million times today, but I'll say it again. You have mountains and you have valleys. You have peaks and you have valleys. You have seasons. You have spring, summer, fall, some call it autumn, and winter. It doesn't stay forever. I yesterday threw an event here. It was kind of like a reunion event. Saturday from 7 a.m. The last person left at like 11. I was ecstatic. I was on top of the world. I felt accomplished and I just felt connected, loved, and I gave love. It was a great, great morning. I died after because I was neurochemistry on 1,000. Mood, feelings, emotions were so high. I was so happy. And then I died. And I didn't want to be touched with a 45,000 foot pole. You could leave me in a room with the AC on 65, a blanket and a fan, and I would have set the world for the rest of the weekend. I love you, but I need to recharge. Too much. You cannot stay happy your entire life. I don't know why you'd want to be. You wouldn't even know it's happiness because you wouldn't be able to appreciate it without sadness, without sorrow, without pain. So, emotional affirmations, all that rascal stuff, understand, don't shoot for happiness. It is an emotion. Re-engineer, reverse engineer. Why are you happy? What makes you happy? Is it a girl kisses you on the lips and your little fella stands a 10 hut? Do you get happy at that moment? Reverse engineer that. What is she doing that's making you happy? How is that making you happy? Why? Is it because another person, another woman, a woman? What is it? When you fitness and you're sweating and all that big organ pushes out water from your body, dopamine rushes to your brain, you feel great, you're flushing out your stomach, so your serotonin is kicking. You're happy? Huh. You don't eat out for 2 weeks. You've been eating clean as 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut, which is responsible for your mood. Maybe that's why you're happy. You have to think about these things and you have to be very aware. Why are you happy? Reverse engineer that. Do the things that make you happy. Put them in place in your day. Put them in the place that makes them a discipline. Put them in front of emotions. You don't need to feel like doing something. You do it and then you feel like doing more. Then happiness is attained. It's a whole nother talk, but in short, this is what we're looking at. 30 minutes, shit. This is what we're looking at, right? This is your philosophy. This is what is going to create a foundation as a human. The biggest foundation is your faith. You have to have something bigger than you that you're living under or on top of. And it can't be another person, because what if they go? Faith, philosophy, plug the rest in on top. This is you. Your philosophy is your narrative. It is your frameworks. It is how you approach each and every instance and each and every day. When you wake up in the morning, if you don't have these in place, the world's going to impede its forces on your mind. You're going to open up Instagram and see some negative shit, and you're going to be negative that day. Next day, you're going to get a text message from your mom saying, "Oh my God, I love you." You're going to have a good day, and then at lunchtime, someone's going to spill some hot coffee in your lap. You're going to have a bad day because you have no philosophies in place. Plug them in, make them. Then you can worry about gaining more skills to make more money. But if these things are out of whack, if these things are negative, nobody's going to want to hire with you. Nobody's going to want to work with you. Nobody's going to want to be your friend. They're going to plug you into their life because you make them feel better about themselves because you're miserable. That is aggressive, but that is the truth. Take a second. You can hate me after, whoever you are when you watch this. And if you've made it through 32 minutes, actually, I love you. I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Sure. But in all honesty, this is brutally important. I don't even know if that makes sense. I'm tired. This is everything. This is your philosophy. This is the thing that drives you. This is your narrative. This is the context in which you enter every single conversation. Right? If you have someone that you're in direct friction with and you're arguing with them, it's probably because your philosophy and their philosophy are on different paths. You can't even get on the same page. That's why politics and religion drive the most insane, non-agreeable conversations out into the public eye, and it's just this frenzy of attack. It's because none of this aligns, so they should not even be talking about that, because the context of the conversation, one context is in Asia and the other context is in Australia. It ain't happening. The conversation shouldn't be had. Talk for another time, another pair of people. It's like a fish trying to tell a bear about what it's like to swim. I don't get it either. That's the point. You shouldn't be having this conversation if the contexts are different. And if you have a set philosophy, this is a great starting point to then gain the most important skill, which is communication. And if you become a master communicator, or you set out to spend 10,000 hours towards becoming a master communicator, you're going to be able to acknowledge and assess these contextual differences, these philosophical voids in every conversation you hop into. You're going to know the right questions to ask. You're going to know how to place that and how to see it, and you're not going to get in these conversations. And you're going to cut the negativity out of your day, out of your life, and you are going to soar to new heights that you never thought possible. I'm very fired up. If you made it 34 minutes, God bless it, I love you. And if you're one of my brothers, I love you even more. And if you're not my blood brother and you're still my brother, I still love you even more, because you've stayed even longer. This is getting weird. I'm out. I hope this uploads. This was quite a while. Fitness is a journey.